Hello, everyone.
Hey, out there. What's going on out there?
Caught me licking my chops. Been cooking all day. And there's James Dixon, who's in the house. Hey, James D. He said 75, still faster than a speeding bullet.
Say what?
More powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
75. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Right.
That's what he
Leap tall
said. That's what he
building in a
said.
single bound.
Then there's Linda Langdon.
Yes, when you get to be 75, you have enough gas, you can jump from one building to the other. Thank you very much.
Yeah, your jet propelled, literally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take off.
Mm-hmm.
Burn your britches off. Go on.
Look, you guys, we almost forgot it was Tuesday.
Yeah, we was in there working on the stove and she baking pies and we throwing cakes at each other.
And we were getting ready to run an errand, and then he said,
what
day is this?
I thought we done already been
oh
on
my
and gone.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Linda, I enjoyed your email so much, honey bun. And Didi, we just got through talking to Didi.
Sure did.
And a lot of you guys called and wished Pastor happy birthday. Thank you so much. I've been too busy to pick up the phone, and he actually went out today. Yeah. For yesterday,
and today,
Deb Rondo came over with a friend of hers and took us out and fed him real good. And then today
I'll be going 76.
Yeah, and today Tiffany came over and took you out and birthdayed him and gave him a little something. So he's been, and then you've been getting calls. Apostle Norma, we got your call. I just couldn't drop the spoons in the pots to get to the phone. But thank you so much for calling. And Vincent Kelly, thank you, sweetheart.
All the way from California.
And KK, they're wishing you happy birthday. Hello, Sue.
Miss Sue, good to
Hope
see
your husband's doing well.
Okay.
And it was good to see you on Sunday. Oh man, I've been busy all day. I've been busy having.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've just been having fun though.
No, not too much. My ear's been stopped up.
Well, I mean, but you've been doing fun things.
Oh yeah,
all day. Yeah.
I didn't do too much, but I did. But
you have been doing fun things.
Well,
celebrating his birthday. Yeah, he's been doing fun things. Anyway, y'all, it's good to have you. Let me just take my banner down here. We don't need that anymore. And let's see. Oh, Sue said he had a pulmonary embolism. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty serious. Yeah, so I'm glad he's doing okay. Marquesa, good to have you with us this afternoon, sweetie. Okay, let's do affirmation. You know what you're going to talk about tonight?
I will start whenever you
We'll have something. We'll pull something up,
yep.
won't we? And my shirt is just all crooked and everything. Guys, just don't look at how I look right now. You might see flour on me. I've been baking cakes. So, I can't look this crazy.
You all right?
Hello, Jill.
Miss Jill?
Yeah, I'm okay. As long as you don't see nothing but crooked clothes, you're great. All right, let's do the self-discovering self, Vincent says.
Mm-hmm.
The self-discovering self. Yeah. You want to come in tonight, Vincent? I can send you an email. And you can come pop in here if you want. See, I'll do that now if you want to come in. It's going to the Sands. To the Sands email. But if you want to join in, you can. I'm going to send you the link right now. Okay. Okay, so let's do our affirmation, or I don't want to call it affirmation. It's like a meditation, and it takes you to that place where you just find yourself beyond what the mind is thinking, beyond what you're even feeling at the moment. So you can repeat this after me if you choose, or you can just simply listen, whichever you prefer. And if you're not too busy, I want you to just sit somewhere and get still, if you can, and leave every concern that you may have. Just sit it aside for a while. All of your concerns,
I want to
plans.
use that.
Hmm?
I want to use that to talk with.
Okay. Plans, all of that. Just sit it aside for now. You don't need that now. This present moment is the only thing that is important and significant. So here we go. My heart opens when I see Christ in myself and as myself. I am awakening to this truth that sets me free by showing me that I am already free. I have looked for God and found myself. I have looked for myself and found God. My heart, which is the heart of God, is now open and exposed. I allow all beliefs, defenses, and accumulated knowledge to be suspended so that I can embody this truth. I lay down all beliefs about God, myself, and others. The veil of my conditioning is being stripped away. And now the concept of myself is being removed. And there is a divine impartation of knowing. Knowing the truth is my point of recognition of what I am. I am the same essence as God. Seeing God within myself, I find that God is seeing himself. The awareness that I use to see God is the same awareness that God uses to see me. And I am witnessing the uncovering of the self that I am. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
Okay.
You said you want to use this to teach from today?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need it where I can see it, but
You need it
can you make it smaller where we can see them? Oh, well, that's okay.
smaller.
No, that's good. That's good. The night I was in the restaurant, and a few of the people came around and they spoke, and they said Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. And one man got out of a car. He had twins, 3 children. I met his wife and his mother collect horses,
Mm-hmm.
and she looked like a Western girl, but she was his mother. And another man was sitting in the restaurant, and he got up. And he said, "We remember seeing you walking your dog." And I said, "Yeah." And I was trying to place it, but I don't remember all these people. And he got ready to go, and his wife and his daughter and all of them got up and walked past me.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped and talked to me. And when he stopped, I told him, I said, "I see your dad." He said, "How can you see him?" I said, "Well, he's standing right behind you."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, how do you know that? He said, my dad been gone for 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, he's looking at you and I can see him talking to you. I said, your grandfather's standing there right beside him. And he said, oh, my grandfather was my heart. I said, well, you still are. And I told a lady that was sitting with me at the table that her husband had crossed over and that he loved her, but she couldn't believe it because of the way he treated her before he left.
Oh, wow.
But the last word he said out of his mouth before he took the last breath under the accident, he called her name.
Mm.
Now, heaven can be a place that you can look forward to going to. The man that was talking to me about his father and his grandfather, he immediately started quoting scriptures to me, and I listened to him. But he said the rapture to take place soon. Jesus is soon to come, and I could understand what he was saying with bookology, but he didn't understand. He would not have understood if I told him that the Lord Himself is standing right there looking at Himself through both of our physical bodies.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said that physical body to somebody is a miracle of spirit, just like spirit is.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be eternal spirit in the sense of reproduction, the heart beating and the motors running inside, the eyes moving, the hands moving. That couldn't be nobody but God. I know these guys may teach you that that's natural strength and that everything that comes from God. But here it is. There is a place where you're going to ask the questions about suffering. And you're going to ask the questions about how can I go further into this knowing who I am. Your elders on the other side and the ones that are standing right by you now, they operate with you on the same basis of your essence.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't get any further than the Bible or a book and something somebody wrote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting it down. I'm just telling you that you are still walking in twos and threes if you are comparing one book with another book, the Bible and the course. Okay?
Yeah, or any sacred
or
text.
Any type of literature of hand material.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you move further in to understanding the doing and the non-doing self, the non-doing self is the value of it is beyond words to describe. Gold and the most precious metals could not come anywhere close to matching up. But the price and the unction and the grace of the non-doing self.
Yeah, yeah.
This non-doing self is that part. The non-doing self does do things, but it's in a non-doing seemingly way, in the sense that you didn't work for it, you didn't labor for it. You looked up and there it is. You go to sleep at night, the body, the mind shuts down. That's the non-doing self.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a self in secret. This is what got me into the closet years ago as a little boy. Your Father that see you in secret, as the non-doing self He is,
will reward you openly.
He will reward you openly. And the openness is that this man that stood in front of me now, he could not any way possible at that point catch on to what was going on in our conversation. Mm-hmm. He kept quoting book, it said in it, and I went with him. Yeah. I went with him. But all the time sitting at the table, I knew. I looked off beside him and at a distance. Mm-hmm. And I knew who I was talking to. And every once in a while, I would say something, but I would be talking to the Christ in him. Mm-hmm. When you talk to the Christ in each other, you don't say, let me speak to Jesus. Mm-hmm. Or
Mm.
hold it for a minute. Let me see what the Spirit got to say.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I thought it had to be like that.
Yes.
But when the waitress come around to the table and said, "Mr. Sawyer," said, "What do you want? What you want off of the menu?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I got to look some more. I hadn't been to this place in a long time, and I knew I wasn't going to eat much. I brought most of it home, and it'll last a week. It'll last a whole week." And so I told her, I said, "In the since you," I said, I know she's working, but I asked her, I said, "Where do you work?" She said, "What you mean?" I said, "Where do you work?" She said, "I work here." And when I said, "Where do you work?" I was talking to the Lord in her, but she thought I was just talking to her physical form and her mind.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Where you work?" She said, "Well," I said, "Well," she said, "I work here," but I say, "Have you got any other job?" She said, "No, I got children." And I was going to the fact of her car needing some work, a service, and I was pointing toward these things that she said. I said, "The last piece of gift that you've received as a token from people to appreciate your service." I said, "What was the highest one that they gave you?" I said, "That's very personal." But I said, "I'm asking." She said, "Well, the family was in a place one time and a man or somebody reached in the pocket and gave $100. I said, "Yeah." But she said she gave it to the group, but she put it in my hand. Well, all the time she was talking, I was listening. I was listening to the silent, non doing self. And I have seen it happen many times. When I move in that direction, one lady at a Western restaurant run out the door behind me and said, "You don't know how much I needed that." She said she said something about she wasn't able to work 3 or 4 days last week, and she knew that she had to work hard to get caught up. And I caught her up in the restaurant. I caught her up. I raptured her like people waiting on Jesus to do. I raptured her, and the way I gave her something that caused her to expand her consciousness. And she said, "You don't have to do that." She didn't know I don't work by have tos or don't do's. She got it. But I said, "Don't tell anybody in the restaurant what I just gave you."
Right. Right.
Because they'll come to my table
They'll be fighting to get to
and
your
be,
table.
"Oh, let me go out there, wait on him. I give him a free hot dog or anything." No, you don't go like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she come to the table, and I knew. I told her about the hard time that she had with her family. She said it was good, but I said, "I can see your tears." The man that came up to me and I told about the granddaddy, uh, he said something about crying, and I said, in the Hall of Records and in the archives, they keep record of your tears. Your tears will drop in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
He understood that because they read that in the book.
Right.
Before you formed your body in the form of being the suit that you're wearing now, you had a replica of that body in heaven, and you have many, many thousands of bodies that relate to your sacred contract that was made and built by spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You were a light being, and you came here, and as a child, you formed yourself by the divine auspices of heaven, and that cannot be reversed.
Mm-hmm.
You are now ready to show yourself to your family, and I like to knock on the door of the stomach of that carried you and talk to you in the womb before you came forth to be seen in the finite self. You went through the cooing talk, because you heard certain things, and you were taught how all over again to use the vocal apparatus in your body and talk. My brother, before he died, they removed his larynx, his voice box from his throat,
Yeah.
and he couldn't make sound or talk. They brought him home early and asphyxiated of breath or something like that. He couldn't get his breath. He died.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother could still talk, because we heard him talk and tell us to do certain things from the other side over here.
He could still communicate.
He could still communicate. Now, a lot of people will have problems with that communicating from the other side, because they say we realize it's not permitted for us to communicate with those spirit beings, the dead. But I'll be honest with you. You can go that way if you want to, but I know something better than that. And that is one thing is that you go back and look in the book. If you're going to use a book, use it right. Jesus had to leave his body to go into the spirit world to preach to those that were in prison. And for him to appear after his resurrection, he had to be a spirit to come back, because his physical body was shut down. And he woke his body up when he got in it. Lazarus was the same way for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed in the tomb. Jesus just stayed 3. Now, you can say it's not real. You can say it by man's hand. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I have many unfailable proofs to myself that what I'm saying to you is authentic. I want you to know that the calling of God on you and every one of you that's listening is something you wanted and you desired it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the ace, the waking up to this true self. Mm-hmm. Until you wake up and go deep enough into your identity. I mean, going all the way into Galatians 2:20, where it said you were crucified when Jesus was crucified. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to believe in anything.
This isn't really about belief, is it?
No. It's about facts. Mm-hmm. I had an old running shotgun buddy that said he just didn't believe in God. Well, if he didn't believe in God, why would he bring it up? I just don't believe in God. Wait, one thing that told me you were beyond belief, at the end of your statement, you said God. The last person that said God, I turned around and looked at him and said, yes. Did you say something? You called me? I lost the vision or the picture of being in blaspheming, being in error, being in the wrong spirit, being seduced. Mm-hmm. I lost that. I couldn't hold on to it, held on to it for 30 some years, and I gave it up. I lost sight of not seeing Jesus, and I was shown how to see him. Mm-hmm. And I see him. I'm talking to him. I live with him. He is the life.
The first place I saw him was here in myself.
Yeah.
That convinced me, because I know that isn't an exclusive experience. Mm-hmm. That everyone has that same truth, but not necessarily know it. But it is still true of every one of us. And so having seen Christ in and as myself that's never faded from me. And so it doesn't have anything to do with how I'm feeling at the moment. Doesn't have anything to do with what I'm thinking at the moment. It has nothing to do with the situation that I'm experiencing. It has nothing to do with any of that. It doesn't even have anything to do with having peace or having a clear mind. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just true.
It is.
It is just
there is true. A truth you are that's born and have been born again many times.
There he is.
Okay, boss man.
Hey, young man.
Hello. Happy birthday, Pastor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and to
Oh,
your
yeah.
sweetheart. Yeah, and may the blessings of the Lord overwhelm you with the revelatory insight of beingness.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm so honored to have you with us tonight,
yes.
and that
We
you're
knew him when
able,
he was a little boy.
yeah, that you're able to get in here and
Oh,
chime in
Jesus.
with us. I thought of asking Pastor Norman because I don't think he's busy either. I'm gonna
Yeah,
send him
bring
the
him in
invite.
too.
I'm gonna send an
Yeah.
invite.
But
Okay.
they can hear me, right?
Yeah, go ahead, sweetie. Go ahead.
I didn't know that I was raised up by Jesus. I didn't know I lived with Jesus for 22 years. I didn't know I went to school with Jesus through elementary school, high school. I didn't know that Jesus, the Christ self, was in every man in the form of eternal essence. I'm not talking about him being inside of you because you receive him as your Lord and Savior.
One of the things that I've come to understand is that Christ is here in and as every one of us.
He's the real self.
But very undetectable and mostly silent.
Yes.
And
he's the most quietest
therefore
thing
we feel like it's not so, but it is so. And
Absolutely.
we look for signs, but that's not necessarily needed when you have that ultimate knowing. Pastor Norman, I sent you a link. Check your emails.
Now, let's go for this. Let's go for this, Christ. Let's go for it. Because what you had to do to get physically to where you are now, no flesh and blood could actually do what happened to you to get you where you are.
That's right.
I mean, you can say your mama raised your aunt, grandma, and all that, but who was behind this? Now, I stood in the house with a house full of alcoholics. I lived with the man that had the business. I didn't know because I couldn't see. I didn't know that what I'm talking about now, all of that was going to reflect me into seeing who Jesus really was and is. I've had people just ride along because they didn't like the way I did something in traffic, throw their finger up at me. And usually when they throw their finger up, I reach in my dashboard and get my 22 and point it at them.
Well, that not lately.
Oh,
Not lately. I mean, that's old.
Not lately,
days.
but he has been that. He has been that person before.
Yeah.
Hello, Diana.
Yeah, I know all about that kind of stuff.
He has been that one.
Right.
And,
right.
and I didn't mind.
Was she talking about dancing?
Oh Lord. And so the Lord, after here I am 75, and in a few minutes I'll be 76.
In a few minutes.
Yeah, it won't take long.
Okay.
Okay.
It won't take long. But you know what?
Well, listen, I want to chime in just a minute and put up what Linda, acknowledge what Linda has put in her comments. And then we want to give Vincent a chance to talk to if he wants to. She says, of course, in Miracles speaks of seeing Christ in everyone, but I didn't understand what that was until I studied non-duality. Now I know the Christ is the sense of self, the I am. Yes. Thank you, Linda. That's good.
I always tell people, you can read this and recite it and have some of you have the most excellent, perfect memory. Memory is the best thing. That's what memory is, the key to people having wonderful jobs. But there's another type of memory that has nothing to do with work, that has nothing to do with recall from the past or the future. That is the knowing self, the God identity knowledge. There's a knowing self that is encapsulated all of the lifetimes that you've been through. And at the end of each lifetime, seemingly end, They conglomerated all of the teachings and experiences with your elders, and they set you in front of it. And the download is the mind of Christ that is in your whole eternal self from head to toe. Some people can feel the phantom self that I'm talking about with an amputation of a leg or limb, and they said their foot is itching, and they can feel it and want to scratch it, but it's not visible.
Yeah, yeah.
This
We've got Pastor Norman in here with us as well.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
man.
Pastor Norm.
Hey,
Good
Pastor.
to see you.
Apostle
All
Norman.
right.
No.
Yeah.
What's going on, Vince?
What's going on, my brother?
I'm busy right now.
Yeah,
But,
you busy.
yeah, I'm busy. I'm working now.
You don't want to give us a
Let-
chance
let-
to say
let 'em
hello?
operate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let him
Go
out.
ahead, hon. You're fine.
Y'all go ahead.
No,
You
go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, when I found out that we used to teach spirit, soul, and body, all conglomerates of this is the soul, this is the mind, this is the emotion, this is the will, spirit, this, spirit, that. Now I found out, I'm waking up to looking at it from a complete self. The body self, the finite self, it knew you in the heavens before you got in it. You tried it out in your womb in many lifetimes. I've heard of some preachers say that they had a recall that when they were born, the mama didn't want them and took them and threw them in a trash can. And somebody came along and picked them up. And just now begin to tell them the story about how they found each other. I look at the YouTube and I see the dogs that cross the highway, then they get trapped in that middle dimension of the highway, and people ride by and see them, and they call the police and stop the traffic, and they get this little dog that's so scared.
You know, you made me think of something that the spirits that we are, the spirit that we are, doesn't really care of the portal it comes through.
No, it doesn't.
And so a lot of times it will come through a portal that will not be nurturing or whatever, and it'll be some very severe environment and things like that, because it doesn't matter how it gets here. It just wants to get here because it has a purpose and it has meaning. It has a mission, whether that mission is for 100 years or if it's for 1 minute, 1 day.
Right.
It is still a mission. And I've heard a lot of people who had children, particularly who did not live but very few days or very few hours, and they felt that child was an angel that came to them, that brought something up out of them or delivered them from something that they had been holding on to.
The God calling. Hold on for a second. Let me say this. The God calling is Jesus Christ as the Father sending his self to hear and to see what he would look like being us many thousands of lifetimes.
Yeah. Now, go ahead, Vincent. You had something.
Right.
you wanted to
Well,
share.
what Pastor just said was it touched on what you were saying about children that are here for only a moment.
Yeah.
I remember there was a stretch of time where I was watching YouTubes had to deal with children that were born with some type of whether it be a handicap or something like that, to the point where they were constantly having to be cared for. And it would take everything for the caregivers. I mean, all of their time, all of their patience. And I would sit there and I was thinking, what a terrible, now this is what I was thinking, the mind was going, what a terrible experience for this child to not go through life having the chance to be normal. Then there
Yeah.
was in like a flash of a moment, I realized that what we talk about
Yeah.
is God experiencing many lifetimes, thousands and thousands of times over, and
Yeah.
that we are all that experience in every
Yeah.
facet.
Whoa.
So
Yes.
Whoa. Whoa.
the shock and awe of that situation was pushed away with this piece of knowing that
Mhm.
everything is working according to the will of
Yes.
God.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
beyond what we understand and
It
what we
is.
get. And that brought me to another thing where I realized that in the scope of things, we try to control so much knowingly and unknowingly, right?
Mhm.
So because we've been
Yes.
conditioned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and if we get into the space where we are free to allow God to just be, we will
Mhm.
realize that the constant choices aren't so constant,
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
you know, and the suffering and the abruptness of what's going on isn't,
Mhm.
so it's not such a
Mhm.
shock impact, right? Because
Yes. Yes.
you allow it to play out. And all of these things have just been happening recently with me realizing that as I begin to understand, I still don't understand.
exactly.
Exactly, exactly. I listened to a young lady today on YouTube who was talking about twin flames versus soulmates. And, we're familiar with the terms soulmates. Most of us understand what that means. I mean, I meet somebody that loves me and I love them, and it's a really strong bond, and we build a life together and da 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 da. Go off in our little world we build. But twin flames usually come and they have a bond that's even deeper than that because they share the same mission,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and they share the same earth purpose. And so, and also a twin flame isn't necessarily, it doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be. But it's that one that may disturb you so much that it forces you to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
It's keeping up.
There it
and
is.
and
Yes.
thank you, and
Yes.
and I appreciate that. And that
It's
and,
was
and that's
faster
what
than FedEx. That was faster than Santa Claus. I'm going to tell you that one.
how about that?
that was faster than
But
Santa Claus.
Oh Lord.
but
But yes, that so we and it may be a romantic relationship, but it's a very strong bond. And even it's such a strong bond that even if you're apart for months or weeks, it doesn't lessen the connection, because
Right.
that person in essence is the split off of you. You're
exactly.
looking at yourself when you see them. So when they do anything that disturbs you, you're seeing yourself that you're disturbed with,
Mm-hmm.
and it forces you to have to evolve. So some of these relationships that are rocky are divine.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of remind me of something that I taught many years ago about afflictions by design.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that we do go through that, of course, we see it as suffering, but it's actually been ordained for our evolvement. And so,
Yes, it
as you was
is.
talking about the two flames, both flames is helping the other one fulfill what its purpose is. And
Mm-hmm.
so when Vincent made a statement concerning the people watching these kids that had certain handicaps and so forth, and in his mind he thought about how
Yeah.
in such suffering that's such a bad thing, but we got to think about it again with God. God was experiencing at one given moment as he was the caregiver and the one being cared for at
Yes,
the time.
yes, yes. And that was the other part I wanted to mention, that the person who is the caregiver and they find themselves in that situation more often than not, that is their life theme.
Right.
They must fulfill that script. Jesus said it all the time. These things must be so that my scripture or these scriptures will be fulfilled. So there are things that are destined to take place because of your life theme, and because that has to take place to reduce karmic debt, to actually set other things in motion. If it's not a karma, it's something to set that in motion for something else to take place. So everything, as Vincent said, is right on time, is right what it should be. And that brings a certain level of peace when you realize that.
Oh, it
walked.
does once you decide to surrender. Cause see, I had been there before,
Yeah.
right? I had been there before. I've been to the classes, but you get to a point where you say, okay, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And I had a moment where I literally looked in the mirror and said, you better get it together.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
scared me because I didn't say I'm going to point into the mirror and say this to myself.
Right.
But that happened, and I heard it, and it was like, well, okay. You know, which you know, once you realize you have no control, because you see yourself on this wheel, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand that how you're looking at it has to change.
Yes.
And I think that's where the evolution comes in, right? Because you're able to allow a different story to be told.
And in the Course in Miracles, there's a lesson that says, one of the affirmations is, and the prayer is, Lord, I want to see differently.
Oh.
I want to see differently. And until a person wants to see differently, their life is going to stay madhouse. And seeing differently doesn't necessarily change the circumstances, but it definitely removes you from being attached and identified to whatever is taking place. It doesn't happen instantaneously.
The self that God see is the same self that said Jesus was the only begotten Son.
And that you wanted me to put this up here.
Yeah, but that's us.
Yeah.
Let me share something with you, and how the Lord walked and was seemingly like the non-doing self. At 13 years of age, I had, in body-wise, I became not liking the way I looked. I don't like it too much now, but I have to work with it. But anyway, I started, and the books that I collected every month was Muscle Building magazines, Strength and Health, Bob Hoffman, whatever your name is, and Joe Weider, and his brother was we were called the Mafia,
and Iron Man,
bodybuilding, the Iron Man, and I was looking at the pictures I had all on the wall, and Steve Reeves, Hercules, and I used to go to the movies and see Victor Mature play in Samson and Delilah. I've seen it about 50 times. But I would come home on the back porch and ask God to strengthen me. I said the same prayer that Victor Mature said in the Samson and Delilah, that's in the Bible. Oh, Lord, remember me. I pray you and strengthen me. I pray you strengthen me. Only this once, that I might take revenge against the Philistines.
He was ready.
It was all the Bill of Muscle.
He was ready.
Got involved in that role, didn't he?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That's funny.
And I went on with that, and I saw a picture of Jesus on a calendar where he was over a big rock in the garden praying. I went up to the school ground where I went to elementary school, and went up there in the dark of the night, no flashlight, anything. And on that rock, I prayed that prayer. Yeah. Now watch this. At 13, my aunt, with travailing tears, I wanted to have a set of barbells, 100-pound set.
You said you travailed.
I travailed, I did. I earnestly contend for them. And my uncle took me down there to Boca Raton, He took me down there and he brought them weights back for me. I started working out with weights in the front yard, in the house, 3 apartment. And my long story short,
You created you a body.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
created what you
I
wanted,
created
it.
what
I
you
did.
wanted to be.
And I knew all the guys, and I talked to them on the telephone, Mr. Olympia and all them guys. And what I wanted to do would be in California at Muscle Beach. I wanted to meet Larry Scott and all them boys. I knew their name, just like I do with toys and trains. And I walked to the Y. I got in a contest, Olympic lifting. And in that contest, I won every last one of them. I was supposed to meet with this guy, this black wrestler on television, Tony Atlas. I was supposed to meet up with him at the YMCA in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. He didn't show up. So I had a chance to take his place. And if he had been there, I no way I would have won that contest, but God set it up. Before I left 250 pounds at 148 pounds, I happened to turn to the window and look, and there was a Catholic church that had a big cross on it. And I looked, the place upstairs at the Y was packed. And I looked at that cross, and immediately I did like this. And I reached down and grabbed that barbell and did a clean and jerk of 250 pounds. Now, here's what I'm bringing you to. That was a place in Winston-Salem where at the time our black folks couldn't go to the YMCA because they had a black YMCA for us.
It was still segregated.
But I deliberately integrated. I went up on 4th Street, Spruce Street, at the YMCA, which was part of the motel where the elder people lived. And they had a gym upstairs. I went in one day to work out, took my bag with me. I kept going in the daytime, but finally over in the evening, there was a man that came in named Jack King. Jack King and he took up with me just automatically.
He became your mentor.
He became my mentor.
Yeah, he did.
He is the one that God used in the colleges up in Virginia and Appalachian State College. I won four state championships.
You held the title for it.
I held the title. There was nobody my complexion anywhere. I was like a duck out of water. But this man took me in as his son, and when him and his wife would go off, his sons were babies then, David and Jack King, they were there singing Jimmy. I went there and kept his children for him, and he mentored me all the way through school in the bodybuilding all the way to the 9th grade. And then after that, I went to one contest and I lost one time, and I could look back over that and see now that I wanted to do that. But I didn't know that was God. This man took me up like his son. He knew where to find me when I wasn't faithful in my workouts. He taught me how the techniques of lifting twice my body weight. I was lifting at 90, 100, 120 pounds. I was lifting a 100-pound dumbbell on my head, the long bar, not the short one, the long bar. And everybody in the neighborhood knew what I was doing because they stopped, and some of them would walking past the house, they stopped and talked to me. I met so many people.
You told that story, why? And why did you tell this story?
I'm telling you that because Jesus or God was me doing that.
The doer.
The doer.
There's a non-doer.
From the non-doing self.
But yes.
The non-doing self was doing things that I knew nothing about.
It's like Vincent just said. It wasn't, you didn't think about raising your voice and talking to yourself. It just happened. And it's a lot of things just happening because there is a doer that's doing. Exactly. And there's a non-doer here that's not doing anything. Yeah. But
and I realized that the day I was on the highway, I was driving, and I started looking at other cars. It's 5-lane highways both ways. And I started looking at other cars, and I think for maybe 10 seconds, I was not thinking about driving. And
Right.
then the attention came back to driving, and I said, wow. Now it's funny how many things I'm doing, and I'm not telling myself to do it,
Yeah.
but I'm totally aware of what's going on because I
Like
remembered I had
we're moving
I
our
had put on
heads
brakes and
down.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And the more I've become aware of that, the less I want to try to control
Yes.
the things that are going on, right? But not for the experience. I think just so that I can be open to what's happening, to really be connected to everything that's going on. Because when we bring attention, is just that, right? So you have awareness, and then you have attention, which pulls you out of the awareness to a certain point. So I'm always trying to keep from coming out of the awareness to a point and just seeing the points happening in the awareness. Same as what Pastor was just saying when he said he didn't realize what he was doing when he was doing all those things. It was the non-doing self,
Exactly.
and you know, the God in the trainer and God in him, and you know, all of it happening at once. And so I can really identify with what he's saying.
And
I'm
the
glad
thing,
you said that because a lot of people don't realize that that is happening in them. And so in the carnal realm, we identify as having second nature.
Right.
Linda says, "Thank God your real self knows how to drive."
I like
You said, "Jesus, take the wheel."
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
One of the most precious things is I had a chance to meet some of the most interesting people. I had a chance to be in a contest with the world's strongest man. His name at the time was Paul Anderson.
Okay.
I saw men pick up 400 and 500 pounds and press it over the head. But my mentor taught me how to use leverage and position. I was picking up 400-pound deadlift, and I was upstairs by myself in the place, and I felt something pull in my back. It burned. I didn't know that God was using that to keep me from going to Vietnam, because I had to send paperwork in to them, and I had somebody to help me. But I sent that in to them, and when I got down to the physical exam in Charlotte, North Carolina, they didn't take me. That man said I couldn't hit a cow in the butt with an ironing board. So,
but even
God,
even then it was being used, and now the after effects of that,
tell me about it,
is the challenge that he's facing.
Yeah,
and
all the
now
injuries that
it's
I had
being
is showing up.
the challenge of it is forcing him into even further
But
evolution.
let me tell you about this. I didn't know that God was preparing me in front of live audiences to one day to be standing in front of an auditorium, high school, completely packed. When I was in school, I didn't talk to anybody. I was so ridiculed by the teachers because I didn't do and couldn't do like the rest of them. But I didn't know that my encounter would be. And,
you were very introverted, weren't you?
Yeah. And I saw some things after all of this, and I can tell all of you that's looking and listening that we don't hear and see. God is your life. He's not in your life.
No,
He is
your life.
And I don't.
Yes,
and look,
yes.
I've seen guys drink so much that where they were so drunk, he rode to my house on a motorcycle, and when he left, he was so drunk they had to carry him out and set him on the motorcycle. He sat down on that motorcycle drunk as a wheel bar with one handle and a flat tire and one brick on one side.
Oh my goodness.
He got on that motorcycle and went up through Cherry Street where I live like a bat out of hell, and he made that thing stand up. Went on by his business. I don't know how far he lasted around that zigzag curve. Whoa, what a time. I mean, and I never thought there was a lady whose husband was a doctor famous in Winston-Salem. She wanted to adopt me. And she tried with everything she could. My uncle kept telling her, he ain't going. But she talked to me personally and thinking I was going to walk away. I would have jumped out of the frying pan in the fire if I had gone. It never did happen, but she wanted.
It wasn't in your
It wasn't
script.
in my script.
Yes, yes.
But I'm going to tell you guys something. I know you. I know who I'm talking to. I know why things seem to not work and work.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a part of you that don't like it. There's going to always be a hell raised in your head.
Yes.
There's going to always be something you're going to do that you wish you hadn't done.
Yes.
They're going to always say something and you're going to feel pressure about it.
Yes.
You're going to always hear something come out of your mouth. Like when I told people about me fishing on a damn house. And I talked about the house that had the damn wall. And I tell about how I went up the damn steps and knocked on the damn door. And I opened the damn door and I said, hello. And somebody said inside the damn house, hello. And I said, hello again. And somebody else in the damn house said, hello. So I looked up and I found out it was a damn bird.
I keep telling you, I just need one night. You give me one night to stand up, and you will make me run.
I went on down the damn hall and hauled down the damn step, and there was a lady down there, a damn black lady was down there.
Okay.
She was down there ironing damn clothes on the damn iron board with a damn iron, and she said hello out of her damn mouth, and she said.
Now you gotta stop. You can go on forever, I know. But
he can. And you know what was so hard for me to realize?
What?
God ain't caught up in judging none of that.
No, he's not.
And people will run circles around. Did you just hear what he said? And then he said, and listen to how many times he said it. Sound like he said all the time to me. It just now this will spend more time working on you than working on yourself.
That's right.
And I realize that is the conditioning that we have been taught to have with ourselves, but with not only ourselves, but with each other.
Yeah.
It's a constant ongoing narration that has been imposed on us. And when you get tired of being tired of getting tired, you get to a point you realize something. Now somebody somewhere lied. Now here's the thing, catching the big lie. Now, I know Pastor did a whole series on the big lie.
He sure did. He sure did, Vincent.
And so you know, once you get there, it's still not over. A lot of people get there and you want to you want to tell somebody, and then you want to tell folks how it works, and most of them still sleep, and you're still waking up time and time again yourself. You know?
Yeah, and everybody's doing the best they can with what they have to work with, and if you give yourself grace, then you need to give other people grace as well, and allow them to be what they are without constantly trying to change them.
My buddy, she done come in with us.
And baby girl, all her treats are gone. So, you know, extending grace to people. And that's why Jesus said to them, whosoever sins you remit, they're remitted unto them. Whosoever sins you retain, they're retained. So I have the power. We have the power to hold judgment over a person. And I choose not to.
I realized that when I kept going over, I've been doing a lot of, keep going over Jesus' life and what he did and that period of time we don't know about. I kept saying to myself, now, Jesus showed up on the scene with a lot of information.
He did. Where did he get it?
Right. Exactly. You know, and
one of the things that was said to us by a good friend of ours, Lisa Natoli, said Jesus didn't have a Jesus.
Well, that's what I was
I
getting ready to
remember
get
that.
to.
He
I
had to
remember.
find his connection to God on his own.
I was asking that very question when I said Jesus showed up with a lot of information. And
Yeah.
if Jesus was not on one accord with the Pharisees, because they were always they was
Yeah.
always at it. And at
Mhm.
the time he kept reminding them of their laws. If it's not,
Yeah.
isn't it not written?
Yes. Yes.
And so I said, well, if that's the case, and he showed up with a lot of information, well then what
Mhm.
was Jesus's teaching, or what
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
his what we call angle, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
Where
came
did he
to me.
end?
It was it was and always has been, from what we know of all the teachings and writings of Jesus, God
Mm-hmm.
and all of God's ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got that, then a lot of things started falling into place
Well, you guys,
about how to handle it.
I'm glad you guys came on with us
Yeah.
But
tonight.
I want to throw something at y'all real quick,
All right, throw it.
because I was reminded on yesterday that the instructions from the Father was never Jesus to be Jesus. That's the false identity. He was instructed to be called Emmanuel.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that came from the realm of the spirit, where the transition, where they started calling him Jesus. That is really pointing to the false identity. I mean, we know him as the Christ, the
Okay.
anointed one, but the instructions was to name him Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. I remember that. Yes.
God with
Yes.
us.
God
Yes,
with us.
you're right. With us. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I asked him one time, I said, when I was in the council room, I said, who were the people that were sitting around this eternal life table? I said, who are they? And I could, with my x-ray vision, I could see through the top of the table at the light that somebody left in the seat. And, Jesus, God passed through Moses and said, you can't see my face. No man can see my face and live, but I'll let you look at my butt or my backside. And God, pull his dress up or put his breeches down, whatever it was. Yeah, and he
Well,
see his butt.
I get it. I get it. That
One
was
night,
the lesser.
Dad. One night,
That was
Dad.
yeah.
One
That
night.
one night.
One
Well,
night.
that was the lesser degree.
He gonna make me some money one night.
Look, I don't mean to cut your head off, Vincent. I just need to let people know how to give again. And we've been on an hour. That doesn't feel like we've been on an hour.
Feel like it.
But man,
I've enjoyed
there's
this
so
tonight.
much we could say and so much we could talk about. You guys let us know if this is resonating with you. I know some of you have been responding, but not many of you. I know Linda has and Marquesa has, but let us know if it's actually getting through to you. If you can relate to the things that we're talking about, because I know this conversation needs to be had.
Mm-hmm.
It really needs to be had, especially for those of us who come through the Christendom. And Sue says it was both entertaining and enlightening today.
And then Miss Linda, we got your notes there. We looking at it. I'll tell you, you're saying some wonderful things.
Linda says that Jesus didn't have a Jesus, and Adam and Eve had no childhood issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They
weren't here with conditionings, were they?
That's a
no conditions, zero conditioning.
That'll square up my underwear. I put a square on the underwear. I'm telling you, that'll bake your cake.
Brings them back to the state of innocency.
Yes. Yes.
Innocency. Yeah.
Wow.
Don't mess with us, because at the end of it, find God.
That's it.
Well, that's what I had in this. I have looked for God and found myself.
Whoop.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
I have looked for myself and found God.
Oh, look out, man.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's all about. That's what it's all about. You guys, I love you so much. Oh my God.
I love you too. I love you.
I don't feel like I've been
again.
Hey, I don't feel like I've been chased by a duck and a turkey smacking me on the head because I had to put him on the table. You know what? I said, bless this turkey that died and this chicken that died that we might live. That's the end of that. Eat. And you should pray. And
I'm with you. I'm gonna keep it that short. Lord, help a brother out.
Jill is reminding us to like and on YouTube and on Facebook. Please do that. And I always forget to tell them that, Jill. Thank you for reminding them. And so if you guys can hit the like button right now, that helps us with the algorithm, and it makes people find us quickly.
And thank you so much for the birthday honor that you gave me.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your
I wish
cash
there was some way I could say bring all of you together in one birthday unit, and when you have a birthday, I could say happy birthday to you. But thank you so much for being with us, Vincent and Pastor Norman. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and we'll talk. We got your download now, but how?
And you guys can come in on it any Tuesday night with us. That'd be wonderful.
It's wonderful. And if you have something, any of you guys out there, Sister Nyland, you can say.
I need to bring Linda in here one night.
Yeah, that'd be good. Bring you shotgun people in here. Let's crap town. Bring all the crooks out of
those
town.
of you who are so vocal, we're gonna bring you in here.
Come on in here, girl.
Let the people see where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Somebody said, some woman come out of the store. She had a armful of wine. She come out there and she was trying to open the trunk to the car.
Is this my story? You tell me.
No, it ain't your story. I'll get that someday.
He tells it wrong when it's my story.
She come out there and dropped the bottle of wine. She said, Jesus, take the wheel. I said,
she was planning on having a nice, wonderful, soothing, calm evening. And she dropped all of her calming juice. I tell you, she said, Jesus, take the wheel.
Every one of you guys have already met Christ in person, and you're going to keep on meeting him from this moment through, and you'll be conscious of it too. Thank you again.
You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We love you, and we will see you on Sunday. Now, we won't be back for impromptu because we'll be doing our thing on Thursday, but we'll be back.
Eating that turkey.
Yeah. Are you cooking, Pastor Norman? Are you cooking?
Yep, I'm smoking 2 turkeys tomorrow.
Wow.
Smoking?
Yep.
Yeah, he's smoking.
Oh, Lord.
He likes to cook.
You don't went from being
I do too.
Grill. I love I'm a master griller.
You don't went from being potty trained to turkey trained.
Matter of fact, I fried some fish and shrimp today.
We're going to have a grill off.
You guys can mentor
Come on.
Who is that? Who's that girl coming up there, Vince?
It's Diane.
Is that Diane?
Diana.
Hey, what you been doing today, girl?
He said, what you been doing today?
She didn't hear you.
She's being silly.
How's the weather out there in California?
It's pretty good. It's not cold. It's about 72 degrees.
Oh, that's perfect.
Steady, you know.
And when we came out there, we went to Merced, California.
I know where that is.
Yeah,
I know exactly where that is.
We went across one of them bridges out.
Yes.
I saw that prison out there.
I'm a Steelers fan.
Yeah,
I'm a big Steelers fan. I'm going to the game in Atlanta on next weekend.
All right. I saw that place, that prison out there where Pastor Norman got freed from Alcatraz.
I've been here twice as well.
Yeah. Oh, Alcatraz.
We've all been there.
I'm gonna have to look Vincent up because I don't know when, but an individual that we are praying for has a major project that may come out real soon. So he already told us to get ready to come to the premiere. So I have to look you up when we get to California.
Okay.
Hey, I learned how to do my style of playing guitar, Vincent, with my eyes closed. I've been playing along with Earl Clue and George, playing a little bit along with Earl Clue and George Benson.
And he plays commercials too.
Yeah, I played commercials.
I was thinking about you the other day. I got on here. When was that? That was yesterday when I got on here and was playing the keyboard along with the YouTube.
Yeah, that's fun. But look, you guys have a blessed day the rest of the week, okay?
We love you so much.
All right, we love you.
Love y'all.
Okay.
And we love the
Bye-bye.
rest of you
Happy
guys.
Thanksgiving.
Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.